Big deals are happening everywhere. Welcome back to Good Sports for You, where we are talking about good sports for you. And today we are talking about all the big time deals and trades that have been happening in the time since I came out with my last video about all that jazz. We're going to start off with the big ones, and then we're going to work our way down to the small ones. And this Ranger Suarez deal just happened, so that's the first thing that I want to talk about. Before we do, I want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. So this is coming directly from the MLB.com article. Ranger Suarez signs a 5-year deal with the Red Sox worth $130 million. So huge contract. That's like $26 million a year or something like that. Let me do the math real quick. $26 million a year. So big time contract. And I mean, if you're a Red Sox fan, you absolutely love this. You get a guy who was one of the better starting pitchers in baseball last year. And this season before, he was also an all-star. I mean, but this past season, he put up a 3.20 ERA in 157 innings, so you love that. But I mean, big time contract, so they're going to be paying him a lot. But I mean, that rotation with him, Garrett Crochet, and Sonny Gray, that's a great 1-2-3 right there. I mean, if you got Sonny Gray as a reliable 3, that's just an absolutely fantastic situation to be in, especially when you have a guy like Garrett Crochet, who's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. But now, to get the deals that haven't happened today, Alex Bregman signed a huge contract with the Chicago Cubs on a 5-year deal worth $175 million, according to MLB.com, including no opt-outs and a full no-trade clause. This is a huge deal that would have had him be the 7th highest paid position player last season. And I mean, when you look at Alex Bregman, obviously, as we know, he's one of the best players in all of baseball. He's a consistent hitter. He's never had a below-average season. He runs a good third base. He's a former Gold Glove winner, multiple-time MVP, vote getter, multiple-time All-Star. Just one of the better players in the league that we know, obviously. This is a big contract, though, and honestly, he hasn't been the healthiest player in the world. I mean, this past season, he only played 114 games with some injuries. In 2021, he only played 91, also with some injuries. So, for such a large contract, with no opt-outs, with a full no-trade clause, the Cubs are kind of committing all the way to a player. And also, like, he's not the youngest guy in the world, but he is entering his prime. Like, he just turned 31 this past season. He's going to be turning 32 in March. So, I mean, you got a guy who's in his prime right now, but that's a little bit on the older end for a 5-year contract. You're going to be paying him a lot of money up until the time that he's like 30, 36, 37. So, I mean, that's a long contract, right? But I mean, obviously, it is going to make the team better. They're getting a great bat, and you have Matt Shaw at third base, so that opens up the possibility of, hey, are we going to trade Matt Shaw? Could we get a big-time return for this young, really talented player who ran a great third base this past season, a good defender, one of the better third base defenders, and also a decent bat? Or also there have been talks about moving him over to second base, and then the question arises is, are you going to trade Nico Horner then? I mean, he had an absolutely fantastic season this past season. One of the best defenders in all of baseball, one of the premier second base defenders for sure. And he put on a really good bat this past season where he put up 6.2 WAR. I mean, that's just absolutely phenomenal. So, you got those two guys who could potentially be big-time trade pieces for your club if you want to make your team even better. And I mean, when you're looking at this lineup and the defense, if you got Nico at second base or Matt Shaw, great defense either way. You got Dansby Swanson at shortstop, great defender, solid with the bat. Alex Bregman at third base, great defender, great with the bat as well. And then at first base, you got Michael Busch. And then in the outfield, Seiya Suzuki, Ian Happ, Pete Crow Armstrong. I mean, that's just a phenomenal team. And I mean, we're kind of assuming that they're going to lose Kyle Tucker, especially with this big contract. So you really got another bat to fill in his wake, obviously. So very good deal for the Cubs. My only concern is potentially about injuries. And then on the Red Sox side of things, this is bad. This is really bad. I mean, you lost Devers you traded Devers because you thought Bregman was going to stick around, and now you don't have Bregman. Now you need a bat. They keep signing pitching and they keep trading for pitching, which is great. You always need pitching. Ranger Suarez is going to be awesome. Sonny Gray is going to be good. Garrett Crochet, we know, is fantastic. You need a bat. When I saw Suarez to the Red Sox, I was like, oh my gosh, they signed Suarez. What a pivot right away. There are talks about them signing Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette, though, I don't think is as good of a bat as Alex Bregman. And also, he's a significantly worse defender, so I think that would be a downgrade overall, and obviously Bo Bichette doesn't play third base, so you have to move some things around. There are talks about Marcelo Meyer potentially being in that third base spot, but I mean, he's a young kid who doesn't know the ropes like Alex Bregman does. But regardless, I love the move for the Cubs. I do not like it for the Red Sox. I love it for Alex Bregman, who was able to get a big-time contract with no opt-outs and a full no-trade clause. That's just what you want to see at that age. And then the next move is going to also be coming out of the NL Central, also at the third base position. Nolan Arenado traded from the Cardinals to the Diamondbacks, and basically my thought is, why not? The Diamondbacks gave up Jack Martinez, who's a 22-year-old right-hander who was an 8th-round pick in this past season. He hasn't even seen the minor leagues. So you're getting Nolan Arenado for nothing, and you think, well, Trevor, Nolan Arenado's on a huge contract. Well, the Cardinals are paying a whole bunch of it, so the Diamondbacks don't have to worry about that. This is a quote from the MLB.com article. Arenado is owed $42 million over the next 2 seasons, and Arizona will receive $31 million in the deal, a source told MLBs.com's Mark Feinsand. So if you got a guy that you're only paying $11 million for 2 years in Nolan Arenado, who's a future Hall of Famer, who's a guy who is going to help your clubhouse, and yes, he wasn't as good with the bat this past season. Obviously, we know that, you know that, the whole world knows that, but he can bounce back. He's a guy who knows how to play ball. This was his lowest batting average ever. I doubt that that's going to happen again, especially when you're in the hitter-friendly park down in Arizona. And also, if he can be a solid bat, like I'm even talking get to league average, maybe a little bit above, with Ketel Marte, with Geraldo Perdomo, with Corbin Carroll, that is an absolutely stacked lineup. And in addition, Arenado is such a good defender that he can teach those guys like Marte, like Perdomo, to be even better defenders. I'm not saying that they're bad defenders by any means, but Arenado can just add a different level and show them how to really play the infield. So I like the move a lot for the Diamondbacks. Like I said, basically giving up nothing. The next concern is going to be for them pitching. If you're losing Zach Gallen, you signed Merrill Kelly. I like that for them, but you got to do something more. You got to bring in another pitcher. If you got your young guys, are they going to be starting? We'll see. And then on the Cardinals side of things, they're just sticking to their plan right now, and that's dumping up money to free up roster spots. They already traded Sonny Gray. They already traded Wilson Contreras. They're more than likely to do the exact same thing with Brandon Donovan, and now you traded Nolan Arenado. So now you got 3 or your 4 guys that you had traded. They're going into a full rebuild, which is exciting for the Cardinals, honestly. As a Brewers fan, I love to see it. There's nothing I love more than to see Cardinals losing. They're my least favorite team in baseball. I'm not afraid to say it. And you know what, though? I like this move for the Cardinals because you basically look at it and you say, this is it. You know, it's like when you're running an experiment in science. If it's not working, it's not working. You cut your losses and you call it there. You don't try to hold on to the thing that's holding you back. Also great advice for life. But anyway, they could also do some big things. Nolan Gorman is 25 years old. He can play some third base. If you have him up there, you could call up JJ Weatherall. He plays short, second, and third base. He's one of the top prospects in all of baseball, the number 5 prospect. And if you got Mason Wynn over at shortstop, that's a great young core of those 3 players, all under 26 years old. And you got a lottery ticket. You know, it is what it is in return for this guy, right? But for the first time in my life, the Cardinals are going into a rebuild. It's an NL Central tradition, I should say. The Cubs have done it. The Brewers have done it. The Pirates are doing it, have been doing it forever. The Reds have done it. Welcome to the family, Cardinals. Now you finally know what it's like. And then for Nolan Arenado, this is probably the last contract of his career, so maybe he'll finish out his career with the Diamondbacks. Maybe he'll have a little reunion season with the Rockies. We'll see. But I mean, if this is it for him, obviously he's had a fantastic career, one of the most decorated third basemen of all time. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't think there's any questions. I just want to see, like, are there any big milestones that he could hit? I mean, he's about to be 35, so like I said, he's getting a little bit up there in age, but nothing crazy. 353 home runs. He's probably not getting it to 400. He'll get to 2,000 hits this next season. If he only needs 79, he can get to 60 WAR this next season or 2 if he puts up decent seasons. So, I mean, yeah, he could definitely hit some milestones. You'll have to see it. But, I mean, 10-time Gold Glove, 6-time Platinum Glove, 5-time Silver Slugger, 8-time All-Star. That's just incredible career. And we'll see if he wraps it up with the Diamondbacks. And then the final big-time move we're going to talk about is the Yankees acquiring left-handed pitcher Ryan Weathers from the Marlins in exchange for a 4-player prospect package. This is a big-time deal that the Yankees are finally doing something. Funny enough, one of my good friend's dad, her dad coached Ryan Weathers, so that's just fascinating. Coached him on like the travel ball team when he was a kid. He is still a kid though. He just turned 26. So the Yankees are getting a young starting pitcher who still has a ton of team control, and you really need that with Rodon being hurt, with Garrett Cole being hurt, and with Clark Schmidt being out also for the beginning of the season. All three of those guys, you're going to have a couple of months without them. So getting Ryan Weathers is going to be a big time move. My only concern is Ryan Weathers hasn't pitched a full season in the big leagues. The most innings he's ever pitched is 94, and that was back in 2021. He's had some injury issues and stuff like that. But he's been decent in the time that he has been in the bigs, especially in his time in Miami. He had a 3.63 ERA in 2024 and a 3.99 ERA this past season. Mind you, in a pretty small sample size of only 40 innings this past season, 38 to be specific. And then in exchange, the Yankees gave up kind of a prospect haul. They gave up Brandon Jones, who's 23 years old, number 15 in the Marlins system. Dylan Lewis, 22 years old, in high A, number 14 in the Marlins system. And then Dylan Jasso, who's 23, double A. He was number 23 in the Yankees system, unranked in the Marlins system. And then Juan Mathis, 21 years old, high A, and unranked in both systems. So you're giving up a decent prospect haul, but John Boy, I think, put it best. Prospects are prospects. Prospects may not pan out. They often don't. And in exchange, you are getting a big league pitcher, which is exactly what you need. I think Yankees fans should be happy that they're finally doing something, although they need to do more because they've had an extremely boring offseason. And then for the Marlins, obviously this is coming on the heels of trading Edward Cabrera to the Cubs. And you may think, wow, they're giving up a lot of starting pitching. They're fine. They have a plethora of starting pitchers. They have more starting pitchers than they know what to do with, and that's why they're trading them right now. They still have plenty of guys to build a strong 5-man, even 6-man rotation. And in return, obviously, they got the prospect haul highlighted by Owen Casey. So they're building up a really strong farm system right now with good players. You'll like to see it. I like the move for both sides. I just need the Yankees to do a little bit more this offseason. And also, I just want to go over the smaller deals because these guys are big leaguers and deserve to be mentioned. The first guy is going to be Chase Shugart. He is being moved from the Pirates to the Phillies in exchange for an 18-year-old in rookie ball. Okay, cool. He's going to fight for a roster spot over with the Phillies. He's going to potentially be in that bullpen. It's a completely reshaped bullpen, so we are going to see what they do with that team. He's been decent in his season with the Pirates, and then he also had a season with the Red Sox beforehand. Nothing crazy, but I mean, hey, another piece is another piece, and you gave up basically nothing. And then the Cardinals signed Ryan Stanek to a $3.5 million deal with the $6 million club option next year. I mean, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, he's a bullpen beast, and if he's great, you can keep him on for pretty cheap, and if he's not, then oh well, it's $3.5 million. It's not the end of the world for the people who own the team, obviously. The Rays, though, making some interesting moves. They acquired utility infielder Brett Wisely, who was actually in the Rays farm system beforehand, so I think that's interesting, kind of a reunion for the squad. And also left-hander Ken Waldichuk from the Braves, both of these guys in exchange for a player to be named later or cash consideration, so we don't even know yet. And now some of you may be saying, oh, why do we care about these guys? Because the Rays are the Rays and they can turn somebody into somebody great, So keep your eye on those moves. And then Eloy Jimenez signs a minor league contract with the Blue Jays. Hey, man, if he can find what he used to find, that could be a big-time move. He could be another bat for this Blue Jays team. And then finally, the Rockies get outfielder Jake McCarthy from the Diamondbacks in exchange for Josh Gross, and who is a 23-year-old pitcher in high A. Jake McCarthy, I mean, in his time in the MLB, he hasn't been fantastic. This past season, he put up negative 0.7 WAR with a 62 OPS plus, so well below league average. But hey, it was only a couple years ago that he finished 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting. So overall, I mean, not a bad move. I mean, the Rockies got somebody who, if he could be anything, you didn't give up a whole heck of a lot, so you like the move there. But so in total, we had some big-time moves. Obviously, the Ranger Suarez deal was the first one that I want to talk about because it just happened. The Red Sox get a pitcher. I really want them to get a batter after losing out on Bregman, who signed a huge contract with the Cubs. Big move. I love it for the Cubs. My only concerns are the issues with the health And for Alex Bregman, I love it. He's going to be able to stay in Chicago for a very long time. Red Sox, it's awful. You need a bat. Nolan Arenado from the Cardinals to the Diamondbacks. Love it for the Diamondbacks. You get experience. You get a guy who also has the ability to play really good baseball still. Future Hall of Famer. Cardinals, you're starting your rebuild. Welcome to the club. Yankees acquiring Ryan Weathers. I think it's a good move for them, although I need them to do more. And you're giving up prospects, which I'm not too upset about at all. But overall, that is all I got. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a good time listening to me. I had a great time talking to you. I know that there was a lot packed in this video. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm out. Peace.